All right, so we'd like to take a little time to just give everyone an opportunity to show their website. It'll help kind of just give everyone a chance to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what you've done on your website lately, if you've done anything, or what you want to do. Or again, like I said, if you don't have a website, that's fine too. Like, what do you want to have on your website if you had one? I have been blogging at, manson.org for, I think about 17 years. I started at South by Southwest in 2002. So every time March comes around, I'm like, it's the anniversary of when I was blogging. And it's kind of a nice time to, I usually post something that's like a way to kind of look back on some old posts, because one of the things I really like about blogging is actually having that record of like, oh yeah, I was at IndieWebCamp that day, and this is the photo I took, and this is kind of what I was interested in. Because I find that those posts sometimes years later are actually much more interesting and valuable than they seem today, when they just seem kind of ordinary, but later they seem really interesting. So this is my site. I've used a few things over the years. I actually started with Radio Userland back in the day, if anyone remembers that, and then used Movable Type for quite a while, and then WordPress, and then just last year I switched my blog to be hosted on Micro.blog, because that's the platform I built, and I should be, using the thing that I wrote if I'm trying to convince other people to host their blog on Micro.blog. So this is what my blog looks like right now. I have a mix of like these short little posts, and again, kind of like I was demoing, I try to keep these short posts under 280 characters, and they automatically go off to Twitter, and they look pretty good, and some photos, and then I have longer posts, like short essays that I write from time to time. So that is my site. I should have come up with how I wanted to improve it. I don't have any major things I want to do to my site. We added categories support in Micro.blog recently, and so I might spend some time like categorizing posts again, because when I switched from WordPress, I lost all the categories, which, to be honest, I didn't really use them. I don't think anyone really clicked on them, so I didn't think it was a big loss, but it would be nice to have them back. But that is my site, and that's it. Anyone else want to go next? Oh, you already have questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the motivation to do a travel budget? Are you trying to be transparent with your...
I tried this last year, and I documented a couple things. Because, so one of the things I go to every year is WWDC, Apple's developer conference, and the hotel prices have gotten just ridiculously expensive, like $400 or $500 a night, and a lot of people were kind of complaining about how difficult it is to do the trip. So I said, I'm gonna like really keep a smaller budget, and I'm gonna document it to try to inspire other people to say you can go and save some money. So that's what I try to do, and I did that for IndieWeb Summit as well, I think, although I don't think it's on this page. I think I lost it. But yeah, that's what I tried to do. A couple other pages, I have photos that I've posted. I did this kind of silly thing couple years ago where I visited a new coffee shop every day for 30 days that I'd never been to, and a new library, and so I documented that. That was actually a lot of fun. So these are all the libraries that I went to. And it's actually much harder than it looks to go somewhere new every day and like force yourself to get out.
What's your favorite Austin library?
The new downtown library wasn't built when I did this, but that's probably my favorite, because I really love that library. Some of the surprising ones that I really liked were, a lot of these were just little branch libraries that were fine. I think it's this. I think West Bay Community Library might be. I think that's what Laura Bush Community Library. This is really beautiful. It's out. It's like overlooking. Out west of Austin. It's beautiful. Actually, here, did I take a photo? Let's see. That's the view out. So, basically, I would visit a library and I'd work there for like a little while, and so that was me working on my iPad that day, and just a really nice library. At UT, the Architecture and Planning Library is really beautiful, and it's open to the public. So anyway, this was just a really fun experiment, but it is neat to document this kind of stuff. I think we all do things like in our life, and when we actually put them online, sometimes if it's something we want to share, it can be fun and interesting to other people. That's it. want to go next? Okay.
Use that laptop?
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
All right. My name is Stephen Bowling, and my site is stephenbowling.com creatively. So I am more like aspirational with my blog than actually use it. I get bogged down a lot in the tools of like, let me build all this crap so that I can post to my blog, and then I don't post to my blog a whole lot. So right now it's basically connected to micro.blog, to cross-post to Twitter. So I'll post on here, things go into Twitter, and then I mostly interact with people from there. But I like to have everything stored on my site because a lot of times these services go away, and I like to own it. So I have it broken down into small posts where I can do notes and links and things like that. And then I have longer posts, and I like to do these, but they take a lot of time. They're usually technical in nature, so I use a system called Craft CMS. That's what my site's built on. It's not open source, but it's they have a free version you can use. And all the code is available online in GitHub and all that. You just have to pay a license if you want certain features. So I do these long form posts too, and I like to do more of this type of stuff to explain like how to build something. It just takes all the time to put it together. I also bring in my photos from Instagram. So this just uses their API to scrape the JSON feed like every 5 minutes and bring the photos into the site. So I can have a backup of that. And an aspirational goal for my site is to build location tracking. I've been into that for years, so I have like 8 years of location data. It was originally in this awesome app called Moves that automatically tracks your activity, so it'll tell you you ran 3 miles today and you drove this distance. But that shut down, so that's like one of the reasons to track it, to own your content. I had my site built to import from the Moves API and keep all my location data. And so that's actually in the back end of my site. I just don't display it anywhere publicly. And so I use Aaron's tool. He has an iOS app that that tracks your location in the background. And so I have all my history from when Move shut down also stored on another tool. What's the name of it? Cannabis, yeah. So I have that installed on the server, but I haven't connected it anywhere. And there's also a really great app for iOS called Arc that tracks data, and so I have that running all the time, and it doesn't send it anywhere, it just stores it on your device. But they give it to you in JSON and different map formats, so I want to update my site to support all that stuff, so I can see like, oh, I visited this coffee shop this many times this year, and the last time I went to this restaurant was on this date, and things like that. So that's kind of the stuff I'm going to be working on in the back end. And then I also have a basic micro pub plugin that I built for Craft that allows me to publish from things like the micro.blog app to my site. So I can post these short, everything under notes from my phone, and it'll publish to my website. And I'm hoping to expand that to include IndieAuth, which is a way to publish, authenticate against your own website. So I hope to build out a tool set for the CMS I use, Craft, so that other people can post to their Craft site from their phone and own their content. So that's kind of what I hope to do tomorrow, is improve my plugin. Cool. That's it.
So my name is Neil Nazareth, and there was something in that talk that I wanted to continue on that thread. So I love to travel. and I love long, convoluted URLs, apparently. So I have been keeping a travel log since 2005, and I have done a lot of tracking with GPS devices. I'm also a habitual Foursquare user, now Swarm, and so I have a lot of location data that I have written posts about, and I've historically done a lot of kind of one-off work to create little maps for each of these things. And as you can see, these are based off Google Maps and GPS Visualizer, which is a great free tool for taking your data and making a Google map of it. But the process for doing this is very manual. I have to do a lot of editing of the GPS files, and then I have scripts that upload those to GPS Visualizer, and then download the map and insert my API key and post it here. And the location-based tool, the free tool chain, has gotten a lot better recently. So OpenStreetMaps provides crowdsourced data, so I don't have to rely on Google Maps and the Google Maps API. And I have recently been playing with a tool called leaflet.js, which makes it very easy to create these maps. So I'm working on creating a system where I can create these maps, annotate them, provide links into them, all using open source and publicly available tools. That is not currently on the open web. I'm still very much developing it, but that's what I hope to work on.
Hi everyone, I'm Tara Vansel, and you can find me at taravansel.com. This is a pretty simple static site operation, and I have some minor aspirations to make this a little bit easier to use for me. So I basically use this blog for posting photos of my nails. I love doing nails, and blogging. I have a few other sections, but I think the nails section is the thing I'm most excited about improving. I also post these images on Instagram. I have an Instagram nails account. And my website is almost always behind my Instagram account because Instagram's interface is so nice. I can upload on mobile. I can edit the photos in there if I don't feel like doing it manually. And so what I usually do is manually scrape those images from Instagram and then put them into posts on my blog. I'd really like to automate that because I'm getting a little bit tired of doing it manually. Yeah, other than that, I think I'm pretty happy with my website. All of y'all have some really cool advanced setups that allow you to talk to each other and interact with each other, but I don't really like talking to people online all that much. So I'm probably just going to keep my website as a place for me to talk to the world. Yeah, that's that. Thanks.
My name is David Millar, and my primary profile domain is davegoesthedistance.com. I have sort of 1.5 million domain names, which can be problematic at times. Whoops, I'm trying to zoom in, and I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. So my oldest one is called The Griddle. I launched it about 13 years ago, and I post puzzles like Sudoku variations and things like that. But the code base is extremely antique at this point, and it doesn't scale well to different devices. So As I go in and kind of redesign the site, I want to start adding some more indie web type features, like have the comments also be integrated with web mentions. I was also talking to a few folks about wanting to implement an answer checker that posts a web mention once you've verified that you solve a puzzle. So that's one of the things that I have as an aspiration. One of the other ones is called All the Tacos. I'm currently on a quest to eat one of every taco in Fort Worth. I'm actually up to 348 now, which is like 1% of the tacos in Fort Worth. So I'm hoping to get to like 2% next year. But right now I host it on Tumblr with a custom domain. One of my other goals is to get that off of Tumblr. And I'd like to add information about the different venues and the star ratings that I give it so that it's more usable, so the data can be filtered and basically to help people find which tacos are better than others. So those are kind of a couple of my aspirations. But in general, I have like way too many projects and just like making random things. So that's me.
Okay, I also have too many websites to show, so I'll follow and stick to just two. Hi, everyone. My name is Raina Harris. So you can go to RAYNAM as in money, HARRIS. I think it's at github.com, IO. I can't ever remember. There we go. GitHub.io. So my website's hosted on GitHub. I use a Jekyll theme. I wanted to keep the first part pretty boring. I linked to GitHub. I thought I took away Facebook because it's broken. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Have a CV. I'm a scientist, so I use Markdown to build my whole website. It's text-based. I have my publications, as well as some quick links to them. And then I do have a blog with a handful of things. So I don't love blogging, but I do it occasionally. More importantly, so in addition to being a scientist, sometimes I do like community management, community engagement. And one of the projects I'm working on right now is this National Geographic funded video series called I Can Science. We don't have an official website yet because this is so much easier to do on my own computer. Okay, github.com. Okay. Oh, and that's probably private. This is why it's okay. I'll get there eventually. Thanks for bearing with my live coding. I can science. I can science, I promise. Whew, okay. So I Can Science, it's this documentary series that we're working on that tells the story right now of just 6 female scientists in Puerto Rico. And so one of the things that really struck me with the first talk is about how can I link things that are going on Twitter, like the API sucks, so I can no longer, if someone, we've pretty much standardized this I_can_science handle for Twitter and for Instagram, but when each time we have a new series come out, a short little 5-minute video, I also want to have a blog about it. I also want to have tweets about it. I also want to have a Twitter post about it, and I would love, so oftentimes I feel like the blog itself gets less comments than the Instagram or the Twitter thing. So I'm really excited to be able to, like, once it's just a pilot phase. We just did the filming like 2 weeks ago, how I can integrate all those comments into one place. And like this could be the one-stop shop for everyone to come and then learn more about sciencing. Okay, thanks.
Yes, I'll try. fair, I have a 3-person demo. So there are 2 people who are not here, who I am also co-demoing. Sorry. So while I plug this in, my name is David Shansky. I am known in this community on various times as that WordPress guy who keeps writing WordPress stuff. So, why is it every time it wants to extend the screen instead of mirroring it? 1 second.
Make sure you put it in 1080 mode.
I'm sure there's a setting for that somewhere. And when I find it, I will put it in 1080 mode. Let's see here. Mirror internal display. There it is. Or maybe there it isn't. Is that 1080 or do I need to find that setting? Display size. Apparently I get a choice of tiny, huge. Where's... No. Do I have an option for that? Okay. Huge. No. We'll just have to live. Apparently I don't have a 1080 setting. So, can I make that thing hide? So, this is again a Duo demo. So, this is my website. It is a WordPress site where there are a bunch of WordPress specific features. But today I wanted to show you something very quickly. This is indigenous for Android, which was mentioned during the, and now also in WordPress was mentioned the micro subclient, which is Yarns for WordPress, and this is a demo of it with some of the most prolific writers in the community. I tried to pick people who frequently post so that there would be posts to see, so there it is, including this lovely giant map of the fact that Aaron is apparently at the Beverly Medical Center.
Hey, what was that mention about glitch?
That would be Greg McFerry mentioning glitch. So for people starting out on glitch, apparently he will try to create a walkthrough demo as part of his weekend project. So the other nice thing about this is you can also post with it, and the post interface just had a nice little refresh. This is a dev site because I don't have everything fixed on my main site. But some of the nice integrated features that aren't available in anything but the combination of the WordPress micropop system and indigenous would be the ability to suggest, should have one here, to suggest tags that are actually embedded in the website, and to add, of course, since I get a kick out of location, to actually add in location, and this just came in a few days ago, the ability to query your own site for where that location actually is, and to set it to either display publicly or otherwise not. And of course, to syndicate to wherever you want. Those are just some test things there. So if I did this, and hit post, and actually went to that test site, which I have up here, which looks very similar to my actual site. So here is my very boring test. And nicely enough, it's embedded this lovely map of Austin. Told me what the weather was here, and correctly identified that we're in the central time zone. So that actually should all work now if anybody wants to try. So again, since this demo involved 2 other people, I probably should mention indigenous for Android. He told me that I wouldn't be able to correctly pronounce his name. I asked him exactly how to pronounce it. So he told me I should use his screen name, which is SWENTEL. You can find him. And of course, the microsub endpoint for WordPress is Jack Jameson, who is in the chat room if anybody wants to say hi to him. So if anybody's interested in any of that or WordPress related things, invariably somebody asks me to do a WordPress session, so happy to. And if you want to bring back the demo laptop.
I'm Aaron Parecki. My website is aaronparecki.com, and if you can't spell that, it's aaronpk.com. So this is my website, and I just want to show a couple of things on it. There seems to be a nice theme going on here around location. So I would like to point out that up at this top, there's a banner that says, I am currently in Austin. And that is because I run my iPhone app Overland, and it's always pushing my current location up. And anytime I'm not in Portland, that shows up on my site. Only if I'm not in Portland. So I think that's pretty cool. I did that recently. One of the, I also wanted to point out my photo situation, since Tara mentioned Instagram. I also use Instagram because it turns out Instagram is a really good app. It is a nice functional app, and it has good photo editing tools built into it. And I use it because I like the app. But I also obviously don't want my photos to only live on Instagram. So I have this set up where anytime I post a photo on Instagram, it gets automatically posted to my website. So a lot of these photos are going to be things that are from Instagram. Aw, my cat. And the way that works is because my site supports MicroPub, which is a standard for creating posts on my site. And there's a tool that I wrote a long time ago now called ownyourgram.com. And if you want to do this as well, then set up a MicroPub endpoint for your site, which could be just installing a WordPress plugin or Drupal plugin. And if you're writing code by hand, it's also a pretty small amount of code. And there's plugins for Jekyll and things like that. And then you go here and you connect your site up, and then it'll just start working automatically. And these are all the people who are using it right now, which is pretty cool. This is the latest photo from everybody who's set this up. Yeah, that's a long list. That got longer than last time I looked. So we're up to 28,000 photos rescued from Instagram. So pretty happy about that. So a little plug for Instagram, or for Own Your Gram. And then the last thing that I added to my site is very, very minor improvement. But my site used to not include my own photo here in my replies. So it was fine on my homepage, because obviously it's my homepage and my photos at the top, and then you can very clearly see that these are all my posts, because they're my posts on my homepage. But as soon as you would look at things that I was replying to, it then was a little bit weird that my own photo wasn't there, because it was only the other person's photo. So I added my photo here on all the posts so that it's a little bit more obvious that that's something that I wrote versus something that somebody else wrote. So minor improvement, but that's what this is all about, small things. So I'll set this up for somebody else. Okay, here we go. Thanks.
I'm going to say something. I came here not knowing what I was getting into. So, I'm not going to tell you about my websites because they're about controversial subject S. And I don't want to get into fights with people about controversial subject S, so I'm just going to call it subject S. I have a PhD in subject S. And subject S is a subject of political controversy, and there's a lot of bad noise about it. And I set out to do an expert's website once. I had a lot of invitational articles from people who I thought were worth listening to on subject S. And I bit off more than I could chew. But anyway, if I was to show you a website, it would be that thing which has been moribund for about 4 years, and which I'd like to start up again with my own code base if I could. I think the fundamental problem we're trying to solve here isn't just the silos, but the avalanche of BS that comes with the silos. And what I would like to see us develop, thrilled to see this community. It's very exciting to me. It's kind of talking about stuff that I've been thinking about for years and been sort of by myself, because people in controversial subject S are not really web-oriented. They're subject S-oriented. And, I'll talk to you offline about my opinions about subject S and what my name is and what my website is, but I don't want to get into fights with y'all, and there's probably someone here who disagrees with me. So what I think our biggest problem right now is this curation. It's fundamentally the breakdown of the web that we can probably. Is there anyone else here who's like old enough to be a Usenet veteran? Okay. So yeah, those of us who are around have been through these various generations, and it looked so promising at the beginning, and now it's just this cesspool of noise. So we have to figure out some way to get good stuff to propagate to the top. And there have been some efforts. I mean, Slashdot was originally designed to do that, as if that succeeded. But you know, we need some sort of curation layer on top of all this stuff, so that when we have public conversations, there's some sort of way of detecting who knows what they're talking about and who's talking through their hat. So that's kind of my interest here. I'm sort of semi-pro. I can hack together a Django site. I'm probably not as diligent a coder as most of y'all, but I'm very interested in this topic. So that's pretty much what I have to say. And the reason I brought this up is because there was a tweet that I retweeted, somebody saying, I have a solution in mind, but nobody gets it. I have a hard time describing it. We need a decentralized, peer-driven sheath over the internet. You choose your taggers and raters of content and pay them in micropayments. And I think if we look back at the history of how we got here, when we went to the advertising-supported net, that's when things started to go south. And I would like my material, I'd like you to pay me a penny for my material rather than go through an advertising model. And I'm perfectly willing to pay you a penny for anything I think of yours as worth reading or looking at. And the pennies should be flowing back and forth really fast. And we shouldn't be going through third parties who have, certainly not our own interests in mind, and sometimes completely nefarious ones. So that's my thing. Call me MT until I introduce myself. I really am what I feel about the subject.
Who's next? Nice shirt.
Oh, thank you. Get July.
Yeah. Get back on the Wi-Fi.
I'll start by saying my name's John. I have about 50 domain names, of which I haven't really done much with because I've been playing with other projects, two of which I'll talk about here briefly. The first one, very much in a technical sense. I've seen a lot of people doing the GitHub pages and things of that. Oops. I guess I should ask, how many people here are familiar with or can deploy Kubernetes stacks? Anybody? All right. Well, been working with a close friend on a way to actually allow people who do not know how to do it to just have a little self-contained instance that more or less will spin one up. You can use it long-term, treat it like a temporary environment where you're not paying other people for resources. In-game, this site, it's on GitHub pages, Surge, and Netlify, and it's actually being proxied by Cloudflare. So if any of those three static services go down, Cloudflare will disseminate, but otherwise, the reason I bring it up, I work support, and one of the biggest problems we have is teaching people how to do things. And Ask Enema, which is available on most Linux distributions, and I think Mac and other platforms, allows you to record your screen and then embed it in web pages. And it's been phenomenal in the sense that most videos, you look, watch, stop, pause, copy, paste, or actually do write out manually. In this case, you can copy and paste in the actual page, which makes it real easy and saves a lot of time. So the other side, and this is political contention, but this site's getting about 70,000 hits a day right now because the Texas legislature is in session. And there's 33 bills to change cannabis laws in Texas. I bring this up because as an administrator of a WordPress site, we are in a position where we're filtering comments from people who would say, I use cannabis every day. Why? We should let that be out there, but do we want to turn this into a site that's a cesspool for law enforcement to go after people? No. It's not using web mention, but that's the goal, because people need to have their own voice. I'll talk about this more with people if they'd like to, but there's a lot of work going on, and this is basically the activist that never sleeps and is getting attacked by a lot of interesting folks. So it's also behind Cloudflare. The conversations that this site promotes online and Facebook, it's being filtered heavily, kept out of the purview. Patients' testimonies are being deleted. I'm a little bit shook up right now because in the past month, I had twins. And because I'm a veteran and I admitted using cannabis, CPS has been talking about taking my kids. Welcome to Texas. There's a power behind these tools. And there's also a power behind the filtering that's taking place in those silos. I'll leave it at that.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gregor Morrill. My website is gregorlove.com. I don't have anything really too new to show. I've been blogging here for a really long time. Mostly just personal blogs. Sometimes I do technical stuff. I'm doing an AMA post right now, so if anybody wants to ask me something silly or serious. One thing I've been playing around a little bit with is CSS Grid for my article archives page. I haven't launched this live yet, but I wanted to make something that would just make all the boxes kind of flow together, kind of neat. Sort of like a calendar, but not exactly. So that's it.
My name's Tom Brown. I blog at here'stomwiththeweather.com. And one of the things I've done since the last IndieWebCamp Austin is worked with a local EFF Austin here to, they had a existing WordPress blog using the 2016 theme. And we upgraded it to use David Shansky's fork so that it could do web mentions and all kinds of IndieWeb stuff. So I'll just show kind of an example here. Hopefully that's searching. Anyway, I was just going to show that show some web mentions showing up. That the thing actually works, but it's a little slow, so I might just skip that. But anyway, it's oh, there we go. It's and oops, darn it. All right. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see there's a couple of web mentions here at the bottom. This one is a post from me, and this one's from Plutopia. And so you can see that IndieWeb's working among these sites. And then I guess the other thing I should mention is, like, around the end of the year, when the WordPress 5 upgrade occurred, we had to install this classic editor plugin to get the post kinds working. But otherwise, it's been terrific. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Konstantin, and I have a couple of websites. Let me open one up. So this is my main website, and I have a couple of media queries here. So you can see that if I zoom in, it actually changes the way that it looks. And then another website I have is mdoc.su. It's a URL shortener for manual pages. And this whole website is written completely in nginx.conf. So I'm not using like PHP or anything like that. And basically, it lets you provide short links if you want to refer to a certain manual page. So this is how it works. Basically, if you click on the Dragonfly BSD, for example, link, then it's going to do the redirect to the Dragonfly BSD manual page for MDoc. And you can, one of the things that it also has is that you can give like a single link, and then it can have multiple links. It can generate multiple links internally. So for example, if you want to give the link to the manual page in like several BSD systems, then you can use like a special notation, like dash to specify that you want like the link to all the BSD pages. Or if you want to have a link to like certain versions, you can specify that as well. So for example, F112, 055. So if I follow that URL, then you see it generates links to FreeBSD 11.2 and OpenBSD 5.5. And the whole thing is completely done in nginx.conf. And there's actually source code for it available as well. So if you go to the main page, at the bottom of the page, there's the nginx.conf link. And if you click at that, you can see like the whole source code for the whole website. So you can see there's a whole bunch of rewrite rules here. And the links themselves, they also, like the HTML itself, it also gets generated through this configuration language. So if you like it, you can fork it on GitHub or start on GitHub. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Tontek, and first I'm going to show that we have a chat channel in case anyone wants to participate in informal chat about the indie web, which a bunch of folks are already on, but I realize not everyone might be on there. So this is the live web archive of the chat channel, but it's available via IRC, Matrix, or Slack, your tool of choice. Easy to sign up, and everything's going in real time. Let's see. There we go. And Greg, in the second row here, has been taking good notes during all your awesome demos. So that's just at chat.indieweb.org, and then has links to do all the rest of them down here at the bottom, the different clients. But that's not my website. All right, my website is tontek.com, and I try pretty hard to post almost all my content there. And I've been pretty good about doing this with notes. I've been posting all my own notes here since 2010, photos since about 2015 or so, and GitHub issues since last year. So I'm pretty, and comments and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, these are all just like my tweets, but here on my website instead, replies, photos, and Tara, I feel the stress with like the whole Instagram thing too, because I for one like whoops, I don't know what's going on there. I like to post my photos oftentimes in sets where there's like different aspect ratios. So like here's one that's like portrait, and here's one that's like landscape. But Instagram doesn't let you do that. So I post them first on my own site, and then I secondarily post on my Instagram. And of course, you got to like fit it into a square, fit the differently shaped photos into a square hole. Yeah, I try to just post on my own site first, and then put the copy there, and it's a multi-step process, but I guess it makes me sort of think about what am I posting. The most recent thing I implemented, so I've got these little navigation arrows, and I've had them since pretty close to the beginning, where I can go backwards in time to the previous posts. These are different things, like I liked a bunch of tweets, etc. And what I added was, the most recent thing I added, which I don't actually expose anywhere in the UI, is navigation between days. So this is a whole day, and then that's a whole day. Let's see if that worked. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened that day. And can I even, yeah, I can right arrow, left arrow between them. Yep. Yeah. And sometimes there's nothing, I didn't post anything on a day, and those are still blank. But these are all like doing full, there's no JavaScript here except the keystroke triggering the link. The entire render is happening on the web page, I mean on the web server and coming back. So server-side rendering, yay, it still works. Anyway, that's it, that's my site.
So I don't have my own website, but more to introduce myself. I'll kind of be wandering around filming. For me, I'm not a developer. I just do web design, all that good stuff. But I very much agree with why everybody's here. For me, privacy is a big concern. And if the internet can go to a more distributed way of being, that's amazing. My personal attack on like Facebook or just big networks would be another website, but what interested me about IndieWeb is if there could be some bridge between totally distributed world and the more centralized platforms, maybe like a service that could do both at once. So maybe people start off on something like Facebook, but then within that app there's this plug into the more distributed way of doing things, and that kind of being that bridge for the big huge newbies out there like me. So that interests me a lot. I've got my own app idea, which I won't go into here, but if you're curious about it, I can show you that. And yeah, I love doing video. That's my thing. So I want kind of be creeping around documenting this, and hopefully it helps down the road. But I'm Colin. Nice to meet you guys.
Chris Aldrich did drop his in the chat. I wasn't sure if it was just for chat or more.
You want, I'll pretend to be Chris Aldrich. Sure.
Sure.
I'll demo the site. Okay, I am not Chris Aldrich, but I know his URL, so it is boffosaco.com. That is BOFFOSOCKO. So this is Chris Aldrich. Chris Aldrich is in the chat. Chris Aldrich posts a lot of stuff. He posts articles, he posts audio, he posts reads. You can do it yourself. He does an IndieWeb podcast with some other guy. What's his name? Yeah. And he is well known for, let's see, doing a variety of different types of posts, including acquisitions, annotations, articles, etc., bookmarking. So he likes to try whatever type of post type you know, he has tried it. I think at one point he tried chicken.
Show his about followers page. That was something he said.
Yeah, so let's see, where did he put it? I think it's under here. Follow. So he did following, but he also recently added followers. So here are a list of people who have sent explicit notifications that they are following him. So he has collected them all here in this nice handy-dandy page. So on and so forth. Here are some. So one person actually did send a following post. Some of them just sent following notations. And there's mentions, and apparently he follows himself because I see his picture there. So that is Chris, who, once again, does a lot of stuff and joins whatever network, any social network you think of, he's probably joined it. And any type of post you can think of, including fire hose. I appreciate the inventiveness of that. There's fire hose. And I guess that is, unless somebody can see the chat room to see if he has his own comment on this, I guess that is all I can say about Chris. Except he's also the president of my fan club. So.